Hello, my name is David Pugsley, and today I'm going to speak to you about tiny houses. What is a tiny house? A tiny house is considered one that is less than 500 square feet. Currently, on average in the U.S., houses are over 2,000 square feet. What I'm going to cover in this presentation, some advantages of tiny houses. They require a smaller lot, lower mortgage and monthly expenses. It's a lifestyle change, less stuff in your life, less of a carbon footprint on the environment, and they can be easily moved. As well, I'm going to go over some disadvantages, the need to use smaller appliances to actually have them fit in your tiny home, less storage space available, and depending on the amount of customization you do, it can actually be more expensive to live in a tiny home. Now, the trend was started in the western United States with people who wanted to live near the water. There wasn't enough room necessarily to fit in a standard normal home, so they had to go smaller, and the movement took off. The goal of living in one, advocates claim, is a simpler life, to be out of debt, living within your means, and enjoying your job, says Kent Griswold, who runs the Tiny House blog. Here's an example of a tiny home. As you see, there's a hot tub attached to it, just showing you different types of customization that you could do with it. And just to give you a size comparison, this is about the size of a loft. However, on the inside you have a fully functioning bathroom as well as a fully functioning kitchen. Now, tiny houses are not just a new trend. This one was actually built in the 1830s in Virginia, and it is 7 feet wide by 36 feet deep. And the picture you are seeing is the current image of it today. What do tiny houses cost? The tiny house construction on average costs about $200 to $400 per square foot. That, to just give you an example, on the cheaper end, that would be about 20 grand at the low end for a tiny home. As I said before, the average size of a tiny home has to be under 500 square feet, and they're completely customizable. It's really your needs, your wants. You can decide what you want to put in there, and they can usually find a way to make it fit. Builders say the high per square foot price tag for tiny homes is due to packing a bunch of expensive, shrunken down features, water heater, refrigerator, stove, toilet, air conditioner, in a teeny space. If we added another 100 square feet, our cost would go down, points out Steve Weissman, who's the president of Tumbleweed Tiny House Company out of Colorado. They're one of the first companies to get into building tiny homes, and they currently ship them all over the United States. Here's an example of a tiny house floor plan. This is the second level. For the most part, it's just a sleeping loft along with 2 closets. On the first floor, you can see there's a bathroom and a kitchen area, as well as a couch and a desk, and then a porch off of the front end. And that's just to give you an example of what a floor plan for your average tiny home might look like. Now, some of the benefits to a tiny house. There's less impact on the environment. They provide a smaller carbon footprint. They're more energy efficient. There's less space to heat and cool to begin with, so it actually also ties into the next one. It's less expensive to end up heating and cooling your tiny home. And in the long run, there's less maintenance because there's less stuff that can go wrong. Now, some of the challenges of furnishing a tiny home are that you need actually appliances and furniture that are to scale. Now, this is going to be one of the places where it might cost you more because it's going to have to be customized. Another thing you need to consider when looking into a tiny home is how you can utilize all of your available storage space. For example, storage underneath your stairs, maybe storage underneath your couches, doing Murphy beds, which are beds that fold down during the night so that you can sleep on them, and during the day they fold up so that you can utilize that space for something else. Now, some more challenges with tiny houses are the zoning laws and the codes of your local jurisdiction where you would like to build it. Now, for example, if the house is, if it's a movable tiny home, it may not be allowed to stay in one spot for more than 30 days in certain towns because they might consider it to be a camper, so it needs to move after 30 days. So you need to figure out exactly the laws before you put your structure there to make sure it's a permanent dwelling. Now, what type of person is attracted to tiny house living? The two main target markets that I came up with are empty nesters or vacation homes. So parents that don't have any kids at home anymore, they want to downsize, go for a smaller home, as well as maybe people that are trying to get a vacation home or a second house. This makes it affordable and they can actually do it. And then the other group I came up with would be first-time homeowners. You know, if you're fresh out of college, you might have a lot of student loans and other debts that you need to pay back, so you might not be able to afford your dream house right away, but this actually gives you that ability. Like I said, just to give you a comparison, it would cost around $20,000 for the cheaper end for a house, so you could become a homeowner for a substantially less amount. Now, in conclusion, tiny houses offer an affordable way for you to become a homeowner. The way the economy is currently, not everybody can afford to move into their first home right out of college. They might have to rent an apartment or something like that. This actually gives them the opportunity to become a homeowner and say that they own their own property. It also makes it possible for buyers to build on smaller lots. For example, in cities that are overcrowded, this allows you to have more houses as well as more space. You'll have a little bit of a yard, unlike most people that live in the city. And if you're willing to cut back on your belongings, then tiny house living might be the solution for you, because there may be some challenges presented by living in a smaller home. However, if you can get rid of the clutter and less stuff in your life, in the end, tiny houses could definitely be the way for you to live, and it'd be more comfortable for you.